to the Resistance Broadcast. That's right. TRB, podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. My name is John Hoey.
I hate it. Stop this.
Oh, you don't like that?
No. It's creepy.
Soothing. A little soothing.
Nope.
No?
Exact opposite.
All right. If you think that was soothing, then leave in the comments, soothing open. Hashtag soothing.
Ew, no.
Yeah. What? All right. Welcome, everybody. It's our Thursday show here on TRB. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Welcome to the base. The base is open, baby! Yeah, we're going to do some discussing in general. We're going to do another kind of this quarterly thing, I guess we're going to do. The State of Star Wars, Fall 2020 edition.
Or Lacey has anxiety.
Where later on, it was your idea.
I was trying to be nice.
Where we're just going to kind of hit go on it and then just see where we're thinking about Star Wars. We're no directive, no main topic for the discussion later, but we do have other stuff we're going to get into before that. James and Lacey with me here as always. What's going on, guys? We got another Mando fan show coming up tomorrow. Lacey back on the rotation for the Mandalorian Minute. And we're going to be joined by Katrina Dennis, who is going to talk to us about Chapter 12. We're going to be the halfway mark of the season, which is kind of insane to think about. But how you guys doing?
Yeah, it's so weird because I feel like, you know, that first episode came and then we got a second, and it still feels like you're like, there's so much more to come. And then, like, you blink an eye and you're like, we're halfway through it. And you're like, what? Hold on. Slow down.
You mean like how it's almost Thanksgiving? You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. You know what would be really crazy is if they just had it on an ongoing thing and it was episodes once a month, but they did like 12 a year. but it never stopped. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, there's definitely something about the Mandalorian season. It's back. And this is a way better version than binge. By the way, I hate binging. I hate that whole concept, the culture behind it. I'm so glad it's going away, if not gone.
It's not. It depends the station. It depends station. It depends the distributor.
The only thing that's good
I know,
to binge
but it's not a thing
is a 12
as much
pack
as it was.
12 pack of Bud Light. Everything else in the world, you don't have to binge. 12 pack of Bud Light, you binge that. That's about it.
I don't know what that means.
He's talking like a bro. Just keep going.
Yeah, bro.
When you get your Bud Lights and your friends, you gotta just drink all of them.
Sometimes, James, when you don't drink beer, you drink coffee. And
that is true. I don't drink that.
Yeah.
Do I get to talk about how I am?
Go ahead, Lacey. Yeah.
Hi, guys. I'm doing great, thanks. I'm wearing my Make Solo 2 Happen shirt, and I've got dice earrings on.
Wow.
They look like ear pods.
Yeah. No. They're dice.
Earbuds.
So
can you
I'm doing
roll them?
great.
Can you roll them at all?
I mean, you probably could if I took them out.
Yeah.
Julie brings
have coffee.
Do they have all the symbols on them from Solo? Like
they do.
That's cool. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wear them for luck?
I do when I wear my shirt.
Excellent. Well, hopefully you have good luck and they make Solo 2 happen, because frankly, it's been going on for quite a while.
If you want your own, jewelrybrands.shop, TRB at checkout, get 10% off.
Yeah. Or if you want to make Solo 2 happen shirt, teespring.com/make Solo 2 happen.
Great.
Also, the coffee.
Yeah, the coffee brands. Yeah. So last little plug here, I guess, weirdbrothers.com. We partnered with them and made our own coffee. TRB, the Resistance Brew. It is
I like to call it a passion project.
It's a nice light flavored coffee, a mid-range coffee for you casual coffee drinkers who like that medium roast. And all you have to do is go to weirdbrothers.com, look for Resistance Brew. You find it right there, grab a bag, get it for one of your family members or yourself for a little stocking stuffer, what have you. And have some coffee with us, TRB style. It's good.
It's an exclusive item. You got to join the crew and
honestly,
get the brew. You know what I mean?
And they're a local business down in Virginia. This isn't some Starbucks thing. They're a small business trying to, hustle and get through
their way in the galaxy.
Yeah, you're trying to hustle and get through a tough year. So thanks to Paul and the crew down there. And we just thought it was a fun, cool idea. And Lacey went up talking with them and getting that lined up. And we just thought it was so, like, when I told my wife and my friends, I'm like, I'm getting that coffee blend. They're like, that is so insane and ridiculous,
but fun.
It's cool.
Super
it's
fun.
fun. It is definitely fun. So go get yourself a bag of coffee if you're a coffee drinker, and might as well do the TRB style. Yeah.
Next up is Funko Pops.
Yeah, right. All right, so James, why don't we get into it? Will of the Force, right? Let's do it.
Yes.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
All right, well, before we get into Will of the Force, I do want to take a second to talk about our Patreon, which, of course, is a great way to support the podcast. There's all sorts of things you can do as far as, like, liking the videos on YouTube and commenting and just listening to the show and sharing and retweeting and doing all sorts of other things like that. But if you really want to do, like, a solid, join the Patreon, because not only are you going to be helping to grow the podcast, but you're also going to be getting so much more content, and that involves, like specialty merch. We do all the sorts of bonus questions and Q&As every month, like all sorts of extra videos. I think we do 8 mini episodes a month, easy. Yeah, at least. And there's the Discord, and it's a growing community, and people who are in there really love it. It's great. But I will say one of the other benefits that you get is at the major level, you can actually become part of the show by submitting topics for this very segment that we're working on right now, which is called Will of the Force. So all these questions are from people who are at the major level or above. So we want to celebrate them. But at the top of the game, for the Patreon, the Resistance officers are our Patreon generals, and those people are Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Bethany, Russ Harbison, and last but not least, Kendall Gelner. So you guys are awesome. You guys are our major supporters, but not majors, generals. But speaking of major generals, let's head into our major supporters. Let's talk in Will of the Force. The first one is we got a good question here, and this is interesting. I don't know, could be problematic. Will Baby Yoda kill anyone in The Mandalorian? Lacey, I'm starting with you on this one. Do you think that Baby Yoda eventually will kill somebody in this show?
Well, technically, he already did. He killed the eggs, and he ate the baby spider in the egg.
Okay.
I'm just saying, he technically already did.
I don't want to get into this egg thing. They weren't fertilized eggs, so it wasn't.
But he also ate a frog in season 1, which was also alive. So he did kill something else.
All right. How about something that's not an animal?
Okay. Okay.
Anyone.
I'm just saying, John. I'm allowed to give that little note.
God. I'm just going to do all Patreon questions from now on.
Anyway,
just off the hook.
Will Baby Yoda kill someone? I think that he will, but he won't do it in the sense of like snapping someone's neck or something. I think it's going to be like he reacts to protect the Mandalorian and in circumstance kills someone.
John, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think they've been flirting with it. He chokes out Cara Dune because he thinks she's gonna attack Mando. I think it would be I think it would be a bigger issue than issues people have had currently, because kids really love Baby Yoda, and maybe that would be a little much, seeing a baby do that kind of damage. But I don't know. I could be wrong. It's Star Wars is crazy. Star Wars is wild. This is an old Western show. A lot can go on, and we've seen Baby Yoda do insane things. And Favreau and Filoni said their intention was to make him a little less cute in this season. So I'm gonna say no, but I bet I'm gonna be wrong.
I'm gonna go with Lacey on this one. Yeah. I think that it's an interesting question because it's so like in your face, but I think the show has the ability to be in your face and be shock value a little bit. And I think that this could come with a very big shock is like, oh, what has gotten him to that point, or how did this come to be? Are we really there? I think Lacey might be doing it best. Like, he might be doing it to protect. I don't know. There was some talk about him being with Gideon for a while, and I'm like, I don't know, man. He could lead him down the wrong path and other things. Like, there's some interesting stuff that they could do with the show, and I think you said it, John, that they were trying to maybe lead him in a direction to be a little less cute and a little more prophetic and,
more gremlin.
And like, yeah.
I mean, a little bit more of like an asset, something like people don't want this thing because it's cute. They want it because it has power, or it has fortune attached to it, or something like that. There's something that is supposed to be, I don't know, important about this. And it's not just that it's a living creature, because
Right.
Baby Yoda's like Batman. He's like, I'm going to break my one rule.
Where are the drugs? Swear to me.
yeah.
You can't kill anybody. You're Batman.
We kind of got that already with the that wasn't part of the deal, you know what I mean? And he shoots the light out and stuff. It's like, this is the Baby Yoda, the baby's like teacher, I mean, this is what he's witnessing. And
one thing that's overlooked in that second episode at the beginning, when Mando just drops that dude out of the sky who had the jetpack, Baby Yoda looks at him like,
No, he like kind of laughs. The subtitles that he
that's
snorts.
what I'm saying. He's kind of
something.
like, well done.
Yeah.
Like, not like he's like, well done.
He finds it funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that old school Looney Tune stuff where the baby always laughs, or
Baby Yoda's kind of sick in the head, I think.
getting there. Could be leading him down the dark side. All right. Our next question comes from our commander, Mark Magaha, and Mark wanted to know, will the story of how the rebels got the plans to the second Death Star be told in live action, either on Disney Plus or a movie? John, I'm shooting back at you first on this one. What do you think?
Quick answer, no. I don't think so. I don't think we need every story filled in or told. I'm sure it'll be from a certain point of view story in 3 years or whatever, but I don't think this whole the Bothans had the information thing or whatever is going to become some sort of TV series or movie. No.
Mm-hmm. Lacey, what do you think?
I agree with John. No. Everything he just said.
So I also agree with this too. And I think it's interesting because it feels like a story. Like, I understand where this question is coming from, because it feels like I don't know what it is, but it's something about the way Mon Mothma delivers the line, And it's like, many Bothans died to bring us this information. It's so heavy at that exact moment that it sticks out in the dialogue. And for years and years and years, I mean, I know they kind of explored the story in legend stuff, but like, for some reason, canon just seems to like avoid it and avoid it and avoid it. And they put out a major motion picture depicting the first time it happened, but Rogue One theoretically would have been very similar had it been this story of how the plans were snuck out and how there's a secret that they're building another one. I mean, it kind of is there, and they chose not to go that route, and we still today in canon do not even know what a Bothan looks like. We know in legends, not in canon. So I feel like they're like really sticking far away from this story, and I don't think it's ever going to be a Disney Plus or a movie, because it's too similar to Rogue One. They already kind of did it. So I know it's not the same, but it's kind of similar. You know what I mean, Mark? Let's get to the next question. It's, will the next president of Lucasfilm be somebody of notoriety that public and fans know, or is it going to be somebody that we've never heard of? Lacey, I'm starting with you on this one. What do you think?
I think it's going to be someone of notoriety that we know, because I think fans are very particular with who's driving the ship, so to speak. And I think if they pick no one, it's going to be bad, because people are going to be like, who is this person? They already do it with writers and producers and people involved in the actual creation of projects. So I can't see them picking someone to be the president of Lucasfilm that's not someone we at least know of.
All right, John, what do you think?
This is tough because I'm trying to think of studio presidents, and I don't know any studio president names. I don't know who's the president of Warner Brothers. I don't know who's the president of Universal. So it makes me think that they're going to go with an executive who knows how to be more of an executive of a studio that we've never heard of. Maybe the Bobs know somebody that we don't know that they feel can run a tighter ship.
But wouldn't you say that with Kathleen, though? Sorry, just to follow up. Like, when she took over, I would argue that many people didn't know who she was.
I don't know, because I knew Kathleen Kennedy because I love Spielberg and all those, Amblin movies, and she...
But the general public, though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I threw fans in here, too. Like, I think if you said Kathleen Kennedy, people knew of her. They didn't know her well. And she had been with Lucasfilm so long. But I'm thinking way less known. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say on more of an less notoriety type of name. And then creatively, we may get a more known name. But in terms of the executive thing, I think it'll be more of the traditional executive, studio executive.
Yeah, I think this question is really, what is your definition of notoriety? Because they're not going to put in somebody... Like, here's the thing is, like, I've never heard of Bob Chapek. I've never heard of him. Totally, like, is the next CEO of Disney going to be someone you know? No, it was, in fact, not Jim Carrey. I know who Jim Carrey is. It was not him. I do not know who Bob Chapek is. Now, is he famous? Did he come out of nowhere? No. People know who he is. He's been around. He's on boards and in meetings. I know people know who he is. I didn't know who Tim Cook was. And I look back now and I'm like, oh, he was very important. I just didn't pay attention that deep into Apple. I really just looked at Steve Jobs, and I kind of maybe knew a couple other faces that showed up in some of the meetings, but I didn't know who Tim Cook was, but he was around, definitely was around. So, I mean, I kind of use that as an example. So when I look at this situation, is the next president of Lucasfilm going to be somebody I know? No, absolutely not. It's going to be somebody who's right for the job, who was bred and picked. And I don't think it's going to happen to be someone that they just feel like could do the job because fans know who this person is, or they did a really good job over here, so we're putting him in this position. It's like, no, I don't know, it just kind of just doesn't work like that. I don't think. I think there are people who are in the public eye, even though they don't need to be, like Story Group, for instance. Like, they don't need to be in the public eye, but they happen to be. They're not actors. Right. But I don't think the people who are in line for Kathleen Kennedy's jobs are the people who are in the public eye.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a pocket of fans who think that it's just going to be pushed up. There's Michelle Rejwan or something like that, but I don't know that that's going to happen. Yeah,
like here's the thing. I think whoever this person is, if not brought in specifically to do this job out of the company, you're going to look back at that Lucasfilm roster and you're going to go, oh, well, yeah, there they are. They were on this list. I should have paid attention.
This is what's going to happen. They're going to do this big dramatic reveal, like the villain chair, and you're going to see it from behind, and it's going to rotate around, and who's going to be in the chair? Lacey Gilleran, president of Lucasfilm.
Spoiler alert.
Look out, everybody.
In this shirt, exactly dressed like this.
Ben Solo quadrilogy coming.
Get ready. Ben Solo's back, baby.
Hey, taking my back, babies?
Only for Ben Solo.
So yeah, I like I said before, I think that really comes down to what you consider the notoriety of whoever this person is. I think Lacey's looking more like, yeah, people are going to know this person because they've been around. And I think she's right. But I think, John, you're right, because you're saying, I don't think that when they say the name, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to be like, I'll have to look him.
And then everyone's immediately going to start searching that person's name like, what are they?
Exactly. That's how I feel it's going to be. All right, last question for Will the Force this week is coming from another Patreon. This time, Commander Shane Dowry.
Oh, new Commander. Shane, what's up?
And Shane wanted to know if we ever see...
Shane could be a he.
Oh, that's true.
Just say Shane.
Shane wanted to know. Shane wanted to know if we ever see Han, Luke, and Leia together again, will it be in a novel, live action, or animation? So, John, this is coming to you first. Which one do you think?
Animation. They will not. We'll never see them again in live action together. They're not going to recast those actors post dating their original. They liked recasting pre, not post, and pre wouldn't work out because the age difference. Han, Luke, Leia wouldn't work out. Post
location difference.
Star Wars, I don't think has done it yet. They even avoided it by bringing Carrie Fisher back from the dead. I don't think they like the idea. Fans would lose their minds, in my opinion, if they try to recast those characters. Not happening live action. Animated, I could see them doing something. There's a big gap there between Jedi, Force Awakens. You could do the Ben Solo series, Luke. You could do stuff with Han and Leia there. Novel, couldn't care less. We've seen them in the novels, you know? So
yeah,
I think animated would be the way to go. I think that's very possible.
Lacey, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with John. He's given my answers this week. I think it's payback for last week.
Oh, baby.
Given his answer on purpose. No, I think animation is the easiest way, and it's because of all the reasons he said. They're not going to recast those people unless they're younger, and the age is a little too far from Han, Luke, and Leia. So animation makes the most sense. There's a lot of people that can do really good impressions of these actors and characters. So, yeah, animation.
So this is weird that you guys are both going with animation. And maybe that the clue in there is what John was kind of saying is like, because the answer's novel. The answer's you're going to get it in a novel. Because, like you said, they've already done it. They're probably going to do it multiple times. Like you'll probably see 4 or 5 novels before you see a live action series, or animated series even. What is it? What are you doing?
He's doing the money. I don't know what that.
I don't understand.
What he's.
I don't understand the context.
The characters are more lucrative, I think, for an animated series than a novel. But it's your turn to answer.
But that doesn't have anything to do with what the question is. Will we ever see Han, Luke, or Leia together again? Will it be in a novel or live action or an animated series? It's going to be in a novel.
Okay.
Want to make it interesting?
John is like wanting to make a bet this year. He's like dying to make a bet.
I want to make
pie bet.
I want to do a pie bet with James on this.
You think that it is more likely that the next time we see those 3 together, it will be in an animated series versus some author writes about it?
Yep.
Take the bet, James. Take the bet.
That's crazy, John.
Take it. Take the bet.
I mean, had we taken this bet last week, you would have lost because from a certain point of view, it just came out.
But he's making it this.
Doesn't count.
He's making it this week, though.
I mean, yeah, I'll take that bet. That's whatever.
All right, pie bet.
How do you know something? Even if you did know something, I feel like an animated series isn't probably going to come out for another year or 2.
I don't know. I'm just ready to see the pie in the face, whoever it is.
Well, let's get to that's it for Will of the Force. Let's go ahead and get to our discussion, which is going to be an interesting one this week. What do we got, John?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, so we did this once before. You guys seem to really enjoy it, so we're going to do it again. The State of Star Wars, Fall 2020 edition. First off, if you guys want some cool merch, we did partner up with Jewelry Brands. Go to jewelrybrands.shop and check out what they got there. They got Star Wars stuff, Marvel stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And to check out, just use TRB and get 10% off. So just an option for you. If you already like their stuff and you want 10% off, we're here to help you out. Every once in a while, we do like to take the time on the podcast to have an open discussion about the state of Star Wars. We do this a few months back. You guys loved it, so now it's time to do an updated version. And no directive here, just kind of a general chat of what we think's been going on. The first thing I'd like to point out to kick things off is this sort of instinct of people to always want or say when they're talking about it, any character they're talking about, that character should get a Disney Plus series. It's Frog Lady should get a Disney Plus series. Enfys Nest needs a Disney Plus series. Val from Solo needs a Disney Plus series. Like small fringe supporting characters don't exist anymore. Everything needs to be heavily arced, major plot, like backstory, origin story, with all this stuff. Like the whole idea that all these characters, we need all this fleshed out for all these things. Like even in the certain point of view, we're getting the inner consciousness of a Tauntaun. Like I don't know if you guys are seeing that a lot, but I'm always seeing people throw around blank needs a series, and it's just, and I know we're doing the Han Solo thing, but I think that makes more sense. But I feel like there's just a lot of that going on. I don't know if you guys have seen that, and it's just like kind of crazy to me.
For me, I think that's just, it feels like that's what fans are saying, because you put 20 people in a room, right? And you say, do we all agree, and everybody in the room agrees, that we shouldn't, not every character deserves their own backstory. Probably like one cool side quest story show would be neat. And I think we all agree with that. Now, you ask all 20 of those people who they think that one show should be about, or that one character that they particularly find interesting, you're going to see them all say, oh, I think it should be Val. I think it should be Phasma. I think it should be the Tauntaun, right? You know, whatever. I think we're getting a lot of perspective from different fans that are saying, I think it should be this. I think so-and-so deserves that spot. And so it feels like the fandom as a whole is saying that every random character should get a thing. And when in reality, nobody's saying that. Everybody's saying, I personally enjoy this character, and I would be excited if they did get a show, if they got the shot to get the one show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
I think it's just hard to discretion when you're looking at like social media and what everybody's saying. It feels oftentimes like kind of like what we used to say about the fans, like, you do this with the fans, they hate it. You do this with the fans, they hate it still. It's like, no, you're talking about different fans. The fans that hated the first thing loved the second.
Right, but
the people that loved the first thing hate the second. Like, it's...
I think the difference is, though, that with this in particular, the series thing, is that it's not just fans talking, it's like sites running with it. So sites claiming, and other podcasts claiming that all these series are in the works and that they've overheard things. I mean, in the past year, we've heard what? Afra, Maul, Lando, Kira,
Cara Dune, Bo-Katan.
Yeah. So
Ahsoka.
my thought about it is, one of the examples you gave, John, I kind of disagree with you with Enfys Nest. I think that there is possibility there to have a really cool series about the uprising of the rebellion. I know that we haven't seen Cassian yet, and so I can't fully make that judgment yet until we see what Cassian's all about. And there's been kind of what we understand is like maybe she could show up there. I would like to see that series, which might play into both of your reasoning of, hey, I'm a fan that would like to see that. We call her Enfys Best for a reason.
One character for you, but you and the crowd of 19 other people sounds like 20 stories that all deserve the spotlight.
But I'm
going to let you pick up, Lacey, but I am not anti an Enfys Nest series. I just brought it up because that's one that's one that people...
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I just think that you said that she's a secondary character, and I disagree, which is fine. That's fine. That being said, I do think that there is kind of an interesting model that could be explored within Star Wars of a certain point of view book kind of into a show would be cool to me, in the sense of like a Black Mirror where you have one full season, but every episode's a different story or something like that, where you could potentially explore some of these characters in live action if you had one episode dedicated to that one character and they got their moment and you got to have some little background, maybe an explanation of the story that, you know, kind of like a Galaxy of Stories type thing is what they pitched Galaxy's Edge originally. Like, this would be cool to me to get these little moments from certain characters. But I know that there is this balance, you know, joking force balance. We talk about that with Star Wars, but there is a balance of do we need this? Because I think oftentimes as fans, we want everything and anything there is about whatever character it is that everyone's geeking out about that week. But there also is some type of wonderful thing about Star Wars of not knowing, of kind of leaving it up to the viewer to decide what happens or what could have happened to this character or what could have come after the fact that is kind of being missed currently. I feel like we're getting all these stories and tons of content, which is wonderful. But at the same time, it's like, do we need that story? Does that need to be told? So it's just kind of like this balance of like, what do we need versus what do we want versus fan expectation versus what Star Wars wants to put out there as stories that they think are important. Because I see something like, you know, the Certain Point of View book is a great opportunity for so many authors to kind of dip their toes in the Star Wars pool. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but could they have spent the time creating a canon full book instead? Like, it's kind of what we've talked about with shows before, where you have all this time being spent on one show, but that means something else is being ignored. Something else is being pushed aside. So I just kind of wonder, like, people are hearing all these things and we end up learning like, hey, it's because they were in The Mandalorian, it's because of this. And it's like that balance of maybe that secondary character is just a secondary character. And that's where the story kind of ends.
I feel like number one, it depends on what kind of a fan you are. So for instance, like the general fan doesn't know about all these weird side stories and quests and secondary characters, and a lot of people now, even this days, like people are watching The Mandalorian and stuff, but they don't know that like Ahsoka is from the Clone Wars, and they don't know all that stuff. You know what I mean? So none of that stuff is like too much to them. It doesn't feel one way or another. In fact, like that's an interesting perspective, is like there's going to be a lot of people who watch The Mandalorian and are like, why can't Star Wars just give us the hits and quit trying to force feed these new characters that, nobody cares about? Nobody cares about this character, this Ahsoka character that they created for this Mandalorian show. And it's like a totally different fan is like, why can't they give us new content?
Sure.
They keep delivering us the same stuff like this Ahsoka. We're tired of Ahsoka. Stop putting her in our face. You know, it's like,
sure.
It just depends on how deep you want to go. And I actually feel like, I wasn't really paying attention this close to Star Wars by any means when it was expanded universe. But I feel like now Disney Star Wars has done a really good job at giving us new with a whole lot of nostalgic and old together. You know what I mean? Even when you look at the sequel trilogy, it's this big debate over how fresh and new and different it is and diverse and all this other stuff. But then there's a totally different argument that's like, it's all the same and they did nothing different and it's just a copy of it, you know? I feel like they've done a really good job at opening up the world to new ideas and new characters and creatures and stories and other things, while still all feeling very familiar and grounded in, like, here's a character that one time ran into a character from the movies, you know?
Right.
And we're going to tell you the story about when they ran into that character from the movies because it's relevant. But the majority of the story is new and fresh.
You know what's kind of crazy to think about? And because I'm thinking about like things beyond The Mandalorian, because, The Mandalorian's going to be gone in 4 weeks or whatever, 5 weeks. And it's going to be like, oh my God, like it's over. Now what's next? What's coming next? Come on, we need more. And then you start thinking about Kenobi. You start thinking about Cassian Andor, which, production's starting on Cassian Andor now, and Kenobi starts in March. So those things are a little ways off. So then really the next thing we have to look forward to, aside from that Bad Batch show, which I'm not personally that excited about, is Mandalorian again. But I'm thinking about the Kenobi series, and man, that thing is going to be so anticipated, and people are going to be so excited for it, and it's going to be gone in a flash. like we're talking about how quick the Mandalorian season 2 is going. Like if that Kenobi series is 4 to 6 episodes, it's gonna be gone so quick and just done. And Ewan McGregor's finished with Star Wars again. So it's going to be a very weird thing because it's been announced for a while. We've been getting snippets of this writer's coming in, Joby Harold's coming in now. Deborah Chow, I'm so excited to work with her. We're doing the screen test. Ewan McGregor's getting ready to come back with the volume and stuff, and it's going to be all this build up and stuff, and it's going to come and bang, it's going to be gone, and that's it. And I think that's just so crazy, and it hits. To me, it hits on a different level than a movie because I feel like the theatrical movies pack this punch and come with all this other pomp and circumstance. You have the premieres, the events, the late night show appearances and stuff, and I don't think they do that as much for these series, so I feel like it's more isolated in this streamlined thing. I mean, they may drag Ewan McGregor out to do the rounds and stuff, but I feel like the movies just come with way more stuff, and it's going to be a crazy feeling when all of a sudden we blink an eye and Kenobi's just gone in a rear view again, and we're like, wow, thanks. It was good seeing you, pal. That's it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how to follow that. I thought one thing, I mean, and I don't want to get too into this, right? But you were saying after The Mandalorian Season 2 is done, the only thing we have to look forward to. And I was like, well, the next thing is High Republic stuff.
I mean, visual mediums.
And I understood where you were going with it. You went down that line and you brought up a really good point about Kenobi and all this. But I mean, pacing wise, like I think there was a period where we were like, we understand the pace of Star Wars. The pace is one movie every year, every December, and then the Solo thing happened, and I think everybody was like, "Hold on, I don't like what's going on here." I enjoyed the pace, and the pace tried to get its heartbeat back, but by the time it released another movie in December, it was like, "Oh, we're done with movies." So it was like a weird hiccup that just ended in the death of cinematic Star Wars. Now we feel like we're a little bit back on pace with The Mandalorian, so we kind of have this like, hey, we got new books, we got comics are always around and they're doing their thing. Maybe every once in a while like an animated show or something, but we get that live action show at the end of every year, and you're right. I think the pacing is about to get back more into sway, and we might even get multiple live action TV shows here in the future. We still have debated that timeline endlessly of like, are we going to get, are certain shows going to get pushed back to make room for this season of a show? Or are they going to do two, like one in the spring, one in the fall? We don't know. But I think they do a pretty good job at like kind of like giving us, here's some video games, here's some comics, here's some books, here's some things to get you by until we get to the Christmas present, if you will, which is that fall live action television show. And then when it's done, we're working on the next one. But until then, here's some more of that stuff. And I feel like that's kind of the current state right now, because we do have a clue, but we have no clue when that movie's coming, right?
Yeah.
That's just off the radar. Like we're barely even talking about Celebration anymore. Like we knew when Celebration was, and then it's like, oh, we kind of don't. And even if we did kind of know it's 2022, we still don't know. And that's the same thing with the movies as well. It's like there's so much involved in that type of promotional material and content and stuff for this franchise that's unknown.
Yep.
And the animated stuff too. I mean, we know it's coming, but the only thing on the record right now is Bad Batch, and it's a big question mark when it's going to air.
I keep forgetting I keep forgetting about Bad Batch.
Me too.
I wish there was an animated show happening like closer to now, or at least something else that we could look forward to. Like Bad Batch is coming, but also so is blank. That's another thing that's going to happen down the line. Bad Batch will be first, but this other one is
which goes into that Marvel model of like, here's our slate for the next few years. Like TV and movies, and you're like, oh, I know what I'm looking forward to now.
I think the next Lucasfilm president will be a much more transparent person because Disney will make them be more transparent. I think the old school ways of Star Wars being so super secretive and protective are gone. What is it achieved? Even in their most secretive and locked vault of ways, their whole plot for Episode 9 leaked months before the movie came out.
We're talking like July it leaked.
Just tell people that in 2025, this movie's coming out and it's about this. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? But I want to pitch something to you guys to try to put a positive spin on something that was very negative. And James, you just brought it up. So Lacey, hear me out on this.
No.
What if Solo not doing well was actually a blessing in disguise? Because say it did really well and they're like, we're going to make more movies, and then COVID hits and then everything gets screwed up. The movies get pushed back. We don't get as many maybe Disney Plus series, or they have to take those movies and restructure them to series, and those get delayed further, new writers, all that, and there's more drama and chaos and stuff like that. And what if they were planning on doing a Solo 2 and they started that and they had to cancel that production and they just said, you know what, we're not going to do any more Solo because the one story, we can keep that in a bubble, we'll move on to other things. What if it not doing well and them putting the brakes before COVID happened on theatrical films opened up the possibility of restarting like Solo post-COVID as a series instead of a stop-start, we were going to do a follow-up, we had 3 movies planned sort of thing. Like, what if Solo not doing well winds up in retrospect being a blessing in disguise for Solo and maybe Star Wars in general?
Well, I think there's a couple variables that are playing into this circumstance where you have to be like all kind of the pieces are aligned for it to be a series, and that, you know, it didn't do well at the box office for a multitude of reasons. It's got this cult following. Obviously, I'm wearing a t-shirt about it. This fan movement that tons of fans want to see, including people in press and people at Lucasfilm and all over the place internationally would like to see. I don't think they understood the popularity that they would achieve through The Mandalorian. And we've talked about that before. Like, I don't think they realized how big of a hit The Mandalorian was going to be. I think there was a little bit of worry going into it. And that's why, you know, we had heard through rumblings that Jon Favreau like really didn't want to show anything at Celebration. I think he was genuinely concerned of, I don't know how people are going to react to this. I don't know how this is going to go. But I think with how successful The Mandalorian has been, how it's driven a new path of revenue for Disney, especially given COVID, I don't think there is a better time to announce a Solo series than right now, because first of all, they have the volume, which is another thing that saved them money. They're making money off their subscribers for Disney Plus. It would be a fan first project where they could say, look, you guys wanted this and we made it happen type thing, which I think Star Wars kind of needs right now. Also,
there's the age bubble for Alden. You probably got 3 years left to do this.
Alden's not doing Brave New World anymore.
Yeah.
Jonas is standing by. Emilia Clarke is standing by. People love Christmas. Darth Maul. I think we've seen over the past few years, Solo has aged very well with fans and with people that at first didn't like it for whatever reason now love it. So basically, long story short, John, I think there are a lot of variables playing into it that it would be now more than ever would be a better time to announce and do a Solo series, and everything's kind of working in its favor. Whereas I feel like when it was a movie, it had a lot of stuff stacked against it, and that's why we, as the Make Solo 2 Happen people, have gotten like that would never happen. We said we wanted a series early on, like September, October, before even The Mandalorian came out. We were saying how, we think it would translate really well.
Oh, yeah.
And now tons of people are behind that saying, give us a series. That's what we want. And it's not the same big budget. Well, it could be if they want it to be, but it's not going to be the same budget that it would have been for this movie. So
I would. They don't have to shoot it twice.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Not.
You can do 8 hours of, or whatever, 8 episodes of Solo that winds up being, say, the episode averages of 40 minutes, 320 minutes. That's 4 hours.
That's
or
like
whatever.
2 films right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you could do that on a budget smaller than you would have a theatrical movie in the pre-volume era. Like, think about where they traveled for Solo. They went to Italy, the mountains of Italy for Vandor. They went to Fuerteventura for Savareen. England, I think they did some filming in. I don't know if they did filming in the U.S. or not, but I think they did stuff in England at Pinewood. I mean, they did a lot of location filming for Solo.
They did.
They put a lot of money into this movie just on the regular budget, let alone reshoots. You don't have to do that anymore, and I think they know that, and that's another thing pointing in their favor. Like, you want to go to Vandor? Pop. You want to go to Fuerteventura? Bang. There you go.
You know, it's weird though, because okay, so Hollywood has been kind of doing this for a while now. There's been this whole like movies don't have to be 200 million plus budgets. And we see it showcased all the time with smaller movies that are made for, like $10 million, and then they end up doing like 100 million or 200 million or something at the box office. And there are entire companies like Blumhouse, for instance, that are just absolutely banking on this business model of do a lot of smaller movies, and when one of them breaks out, you cover the budget of like 20 other smaller movies. But big Hollywood doesn't seem to think that. They put a lot of money into like 10 movies and then like 9 of them fail, Right.
Like
instead of like a 20 or 30 a business model thing. And
but Star Wars isn't that. That's a tough comp for me to swallow. I'm sorry.
Like, but it is that. It absolutely is that.
A Star Wars theatrical film's never going to be budgeted at $10 million, James.
They're not going to be budgeted at 10 million, but they're going to be budgeted like The Mandalorian. You're getting 8 hours of content.
If they film them the same way, I agree.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's even in Rise of Skywalker, like before The Mandalorian came out, we had J.J. Abrams coming in and he's like, we're doing it on film and we got to go to these locations because,
practical
technology's getting good, but there are filmmakers out there that are still kind of in the old way, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's definitely a perspective, but like Quentin Tarantino and like Chris Nolan and J.J. Abrams, Steven Spielberg and stuff, even George Lucas, like
James Cameron,
they are so involved in the way that film should be done. You need the big budget. You have to go there and really capture it. I think that Jon Favreau is a breath of fresh air in the cinematic world because he's saying, no, you don't. No, you don't.
I mean, the budgets of his movies were pretty massive, though.
I know, but
I think what James is trying to say is that Favreau's the person that's, yes, he has the big budgets, but he's willing to do things differently and change the game with that budget so that they don't have to be big budget in the future.
No, I understand that.
I think what we're showcasing here is, I mean, even your point, or like you're trying to say that he has big budgets, but your point is that you don't have to go to all these locations anymore because Favreau and such have developed a technology that proves that you don't, because we look at The Mandalorian and we don't go, at the end of the day, I mean, like, I still like it because it's Mandalorian, but you can tell it's green screen, or you can tell that's background.
No,
whereas like somebody would be able to argue, I'm still glad that they don't do that stuff for the saga films or for the big budget movies and stuff. I'm glad they go to those locations like in Jordan and stuff and film those on location because it feels more real. I don't get that when I've watched The Mandalorian. I go, I would totally be down with this being a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the story to me, because the special effects and the location shootings and all that stuff
and
that
I'm not arguing
drives
with
up
you.
the budget
Yeah.
is not, I don't think, necessary anymore.
Yeah.
And it's become a systemic problem in Hollywood.
I agree with that. I also think Hollywood spends a lot on marketing for big theatrical films too. That takes a lot of cost. And also paying actors, big name actors, is obviously a big thing too when you're popping $20 million, $25 million off at a Chris Evans or a Robert Downey Jr., whereas a Pedro Pascal, you probably don't have to pay him as much, especially if he's just doing ADR and that sort of thing. And then you're like, and his co-host is Amy Sedaris. Oh, okay. that works. That's cool. So I'm not arguing with you, but I think there's still that big difference. I'm curious to see what Star Wars does with the next theatrical ventures. Like, what is Taika Waititi's movie going to be like? Is Star Wars going to be different in that way because of the technology? Are they going to use the technology for the movies and that sort of thing?
Taika Waititi's next movie is
Love and Thunder.
Thor,
right?
Love and Thunder. And he has already said they're using the Mandalorian technology.
Right, stagecraft, yeah.
So that points to me that the next Star Wars movie, which is headed by Taika Waititi, is going to be using stagecraft as well.
Which is great, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just, do you think we're going to see a Star Wars movie in 2023? For real?
No.
You don't?
No. I don't think you're going to see a lot of movies next year.
Well, 2021. I mean, 2023 is still far away.
Yeah, but as they shift everything gets pushed back again. And I think Star Wars is one of those things that they're like, it's not shot yet, so it can move.
It makes me.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Well, okay. JJ was brought in and he said you basically got 2 years to the day. So it took him 2 years to produce The Rise of Skywalker.
But he wasn't under the travel restrictions that everybody else is under right now.
Yeah.
I understand, but even if he started, I guess that's true. Even if he started January of 2021, which is actually right around the corner, he wouldn't be able to finish it.
You know what's funny though?
That's good.
It depends how next year goes. Is the long story.
And it depends if they are in fact going to do everything like they do The Mandalorian, because they might be able to pull off a lot more with
a smaller crew.
Restrictions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also
possible.
one thing that we've talked about in this podcast. I don't know if other people have dived into. I think that's right.
Dove
or have dived. Yes.
Have dived.
Is the fact that this whole technology thing and these skeleton crews, like you had brought up, Lacey, can really protect story secrets. So if they still want to be secretive while still telling us face value things, like this movie is going to be about the Ewoks or the Wookiees, and that's all we're going to tell you. But just so you Star Wars fans know, instead of being a bunch of annoying secret keepers of the oh holy Star Wars, it's not going to be untitled Star Wars movie for the next 10 years. Just so you know, in 2027, you're getting a movie about this, and it's called this, and that's all you're going to know. But that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why, is that so hard? The thing is, I think they don't know. They don't know what they're doing yet. I think that's the bigger thing.
I think when they create this content, and I mean, I might be making stuff up because I just don't understand how complicated all this the chaos is. But like, I feel like when you do something like this, you need to also set forth like an information slate where it's like, we're going to release this information, and understand the drip or the process of giving that information out. And right now, I feel like they have general understandings of like around maybe when a trailer could drop or something like that, like fall. But I feel like that's why it gets so many mixed messages as we get nearer or closer to the trailer, because they're still like changing things and making decisions on stuff.
I also, the state of Star Wars, we always have to probably check in on the state of Kathleen Kennedy, because
when was the last time we heard from her?
That statement she made that they're taking the step back.
In January?
No. Remember it came out again, and we were like, she said this again 8 months later? I think it was like September.
Oh, yeah, it was August, I think.
August or September? Yeah, August maybe. And no one's seen her since or heard from her since. You got The Mandalorian, which she's obviously a part of creating out, and she doesn't...
Kathleen, are you okay?
Like, no one has no release or statement or article.
Did she not
or interview.
do anything for the release of Mandalorian?
No. Yeah.
She wasn't in the... I watched half of it, but she wasn't in that Mandalorian live show or whatever?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
I think Filoni, Favreau, and probably... it was recorded. It wasn't live, I assume. But yeah, so I think the last time, and correct us if you have evidence of anything real. We heard from her was August and her saying that we're taking a step back to figure out what George would have wanted or something. And they still, it's funny, Star Wars people who create Star Wars content talk about George Lucas like he's dead. Well, what George would have wanted. What would George have done? Why don't you give him a call? Give him a ring. Hey George, what do you think about this? What?
I mean, so we just
Maul
recently
and
did
who? What?
We just recently did an earnings call. Was who was on that? Was
Bob
that
Chapek?
That was Bob Chapek?
Bob too.
All right, I was gonna say. That being said, when was the last time we heard, like, Disney right now is losing billions of dollars? When was the last time we heard from their president or anything?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's a point we did just hear because of the earnings call. But I mean, it's not like we're regularly hearing from those people either, you know?
No, and that's fine. But I mean, I think on the content side of things, you would think that you would get some sort of a quote or statement or interview, or it's the Star Wars show. Here's Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen, how excited are you for season 2 of The Mandalorian? Everyone loves Baby Yoda. Oh, I know. Don't you like my new jacket? This is so cool. Oh, I love being a part of Star Wars. And, you know, just George created this thing, and we're so excited to carry all the statements. Boom, 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 boom. Nothing. Interesting.
The state of Star Wars right now for me is The Mandalorian. And then once that happens, I will be sad again.
You know what also? I love the fun stuff, though. Like the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special is like so important right now.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just such a fun thing. It's obviously out now. So people can keep watching it. And it's one of those things like kick you off in that holiday spirit. Like, oh, it's Life Day and here we go. And we're doing this whole thing. And it's just got that fun vibe to it. And I feel like it's one of those things that fans can really just enjoy and have fun with and remember the fun aspect of being a Star Wars fan. More of that stuff I would like to see too, blending in, whether it's Lego or not, but just like some fun, maybe shorts. Like they have the Toy Story shorts we throw on for my son all the time.
I like the Galaxy of Adventure stuff.
Yeah, like that stuff. Like maybe do some more Galaxy's Edge stuff. Like maybe film some stuff inside Galaxy's Edge since you don't really have people there anyway. You can do some like side adventure stuff and put it on Disney Plus.
That was a Will of the Force question. Will they ever shoot live action Star Wars in Galaxy's Edge?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot they can do, and then a lot that excites me about that. You know, I'm not trying to just be conspiracy guy about Kathleen Kennedy here, but I really do think there's going to be in the next year. When we do this next year, hopefully the three of us still doing this thing, fall 2021 State of Star Wars.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm just saying I hope so. You know, I'm just saying I think everything's going to look a lot different. I have this weird feeling that things are going to be a lot different at Lucasfilm with Star Wars and Disney.
I'm going to be that much more charming.
Is that even?
I have another.
Thanks, John.
I have another angle here that we haven't tackled, and maybe get your guys' opinion on this. So, I feel like the last time we really checked in with EA, it was they did Battlefront and people were kind of like whatever about that because of their history of like how they run their company with like micro transactions and all sorts of other things. And then I feel like if that concept or EA creating Star Wars games was a pimple, like Battlefront 2 was like the biggest zit you've ever seen.
Really?
And
it was huge.
like,
it was so successful. People still play that.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when it comes to EA's reputation for being money hungry and a horrible company because they're ripping you off with microtransactions and all that, that was at its head at Battlefront 2. And then it became like, it blew up when like the game leaked or whatever.
This was like years ago though. We're talking about current state.
Lacey, I will get there.
Okay.
You're not letting me explain it. Okay. And when all of that stuff blew up and it was like the news for a while that the EA was going to rip off fans again and all that, they got rid of it. They completely eliminated it from the culture, and Battlefront 2 from that point on went on to become a very successful, beloved game in the Star Wars world. And we now have Jedi Fallen Order, did not go into that world at all, and it was very successful, very well beloved. Fans liked it. We now just dropped Squadrons. Squadrons again came cheaper than a regularly priced game. It's still not opened.
I didn't open it yet. Everyone's so mad. I know our patrons are really mad at me right now, guys. Sorry.
Squadrons sold for less than the price of a normal game, but it did have a full story mode that people enjoyed, and the multiplayer has been very well received, despite the fact that it's not a money-hungry game where they're nickel and diming you on everything. So I feel like the last time we were kind of looking at the state of Star Wars when it comes to the video games world was a very get EA out of there. And I feel like it's turned around. People really like what they're doing with the games, and they look forward to EA doubling down and starting to release more games. I mean, am I crazy?
Well, I've always been a big EA fan.
That's a positive.
Yeah, I've always been a big EA fan because I loved Madden football as a kid. I loved MVP baseball, like EA Sports. It's in the game. Like that started almost every game I had growing up. So I'm biased because I always appreciate Electronic Arts. And it's hard for me to comment on this, so I'm going to toss it to Lacey because I just opened my first Star Wars game in like 15 years. Literally just opened it.
Well, the last time we did one of these was over the summer, so it's hard for me to say that the state of Star Wars has changed with EA because it changed when we did the last one of these. I think EA was in bad graces with fans with the microtransactions years ago, but as soon as Jedi Fallen Order came out, that changed immediately, and now we're into Squadrons, so I get what you're saying, but I don't know if I agree with now all of a sudden fans are good with them. I think they were good when Jedi Fallen Order came out.
Well, I don't even know if we really talked about games in the last time we did the little State of Star Wars episode. I'm just talking about since the Disney acquisition and where things are going and where we're at today. I feel like it used to be that fans absolutely hated EA and wanted to get rid of it. And we've gone full circle on that, and now fans are generally okay with the games that they produce. And the only thing now is we wish they would do more.
I do feel like if it was like political polls and you did approval ratings, EA would be doing much better right now than they were a year ago or whenever the add-on stuff was going on with the buy more extra stuff. I agree.
Do you want to say that was 2 years ago? When did Battlefront? It was before Battlefront 2 even came out, because it was like a leak, wasn't it? Of like the third.
No, it was when it launched. They had microtransactions.
Yeah, it's like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they came out like as a company, and they were like, "We're not doing it. We're giving you the game. Everything's unlockable based on how you did this." And I understand, like, the last time we did this episode, it was
April
after
13th,
this.
2018.
Yeah,
2018. Yeah.
Which is when EA came out and said they vowed to be better about Battlefront.
When Lacey joined TRB, and then everything got better.
I know. It's all me, obviously.
Everything got better. Everything. No. Last thing, one thing I want to bring up before we're up on an hour, I guess, and I mean, I'll stay here all night. I love people hanging out in the base with us here. But
you gotta get up at like 3 a.m.
Mandalorian season 2. Do I have to? I thought I can do it at like 6
No, you have to do it at 3.
We want the episodes out at 7, John.
Yeah, John.
So
I watch at 6, do my minute, and shoot it over to you.
You know it's going to be longer than that, so you have to get up earlier than that.
Listen.
Yeah, I think I started editing my episode at like 5:30.
All right, whatever. We're breaking the fourth wall here. I got my tea, the Resistance brew here, so we're good. The Mandalorian season 2, like it after the second episode, there's, fans have issues and all that stuff's going on. There feels like there's the first like shot to the bow side of the Mandalorian. It can bleed. It's vulnerable. But if you think back to last year, you forget that after the second episode, you had Star Wars novel writers taking shots at Jon Favreau for not having diversity or whatever. And where's Cara Dune? Remember, they were like screaming, where's our hero? Where's Gina Carano? We want her. And now a year later, it's a different story. But it's funny, you had like E.K. Johnson taking public shots at Jon Favreau after the second episode. It's like, everyone just calm down. Like, and then because then the third episode comes out directed by Deborah Chow, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's the greatest show ever. It's the greatest show. So I think people need to chill out a little bit. And, breaking the fourth wall again, we are recording this before having seen chapter 11. But it just seems like it's a week-to-week thing. And then I think by the end of when we see the entire package of season 2, I think it'll be viewed again as a very favorable thing. It's just another one of those minor bumps in the road, and people can be like, oh man, like next year when we're talking about season 3 and we're in the mix, we're gonna be like, oh man, I totally forgot about that whole thing with Frog Lady and stuff last year. Like, oh man, remember that? That was crazy. So I think when it's so white hot and people are so crazy about it, they're like, oh man, Mandalorian, like, I don't know. We want to cancel that person. We don't want them hired anymore, and we don't like that decision and stuff. But I think, at the end of the day, when it's all 8 chapters are packaged and done and watched, I think people are going to look at it and be like, they did it again. They did a great job.
It's nowhere near the same as Star Wars, but with Dragon Ball stuff, there's like one major Dragon Ball fan site. And the guy who runs the podcast for that show, he says, you know what I hate? I hate when they're doing the show, and every week after every episode, there's all these people that come out and review it and all that stuff. And we're part of that too. We're in that culture, but we like it and we try to keep it positive.
Yeah.
But he says, you can't review something episodic like that. You have to see the whole picture. You have to wait until it's out. He goes, we on our show and our podcast and our website, we don't talk about our opinions on the arcs until they're through, until they're done. And we've even sat with them a while, because we know even if it's like day one after that stuff is over, our opinions are going to be completely different than where they're going to be in a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 10 years from now. We're going to look at those things differently. And it's not to say don't have an opinion when the episodes drop or whatever, but I always thought that was kind of insightful when I look back at Star Wars and stuff too, because every week, or a new movie comes out, everybody's like, I hated it, and then they sit with it for a while, and then they're like, okay, it wasn't as bad. I just got a lot of retweets and likes for being the guy that was like, I hated it,
Mm-hmm.
So kind of an insightful thing, and I know we're part of that too, because every week we're releasing 2 episodes to talk about where Star Wars is at currently, and it's I think there's a lot of wisdom in looking at the franchise as a bigger thing than every 3 days.
Yeah.
Every 3 days, where are we at? And I think that's why an episode like this, the State of Star Wars, and looking back at the last couple years, like where have we gotten to? Where are we going?
Yeah.
Is a good way to look at a franchise. And I love where we even started with this by saying, like, we get these movies and we have our pace, and now that doesn't exist. What's our new pace? Where are we at? What's going to be the pace in the future? It's interesting to think about.
Yeah. Lacey, any final thoughts? The current state of Star Wars?
I like Star Wars, and I'm excited to be watching The Mandalorian every week and having the excitement of every Friday staying up every Friday to watch it and then talk about it. And I'm going to be very sad when it's over. And I think that despite what people like or dislike online, I think everybody needs to appreciate that we're getting new Star Wars, and that Star Wars, like the world around us, is always changing. So, I don't know, maybe just focus on what you do like, enjoy it, have a good time, and then just kind of, you're free to voice your criticisms and what you don't like, but just realize that words matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would advise this, like, I'll never forget walking out of the Rise of Skywalker premiere. Obviously, there's no experience in terms of like what other people thought about it, and we just had our own personal thoughts on what we thought about the movie. And I was like, man, I'm so happy. That's a relief. That's not going to be controversial. I really enjoyed that movie. Boy, was I wrong.
I had a feeling.
But me having that experience, I'll never lose that.
Sure.
I'll always have that feeling, and no one can take that from me. So the reason why I bring that up is, watch The Mandalorian or watch Star Wars and maybe write down your thoughts about it, or record a video of your thoughts about it before going to find out what everyone else thinks about it and adjusting your opinion so that you fit in with the masses. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to go online and tweet about, I love that episode. And then you hear everyone complaining about it or having a problem with it. You're like, oh, well, I guess I'll have a problem with it too. Like, just think for yourself, have your own opinion, even if it's not in agreement with the masses. If you like the holiday special, the original Star Wars holiday special, wear it proudly. You know, like, so just let yourself enjoy Star Wars to yourself first before you take to online. And I think that's an important thing. And I've been trying to do, I'm not trying to preach, but I like that for myself. And I think that's a good thing to do. So just, you know, if you want to do that, do it. If not, say, go to hell, John. And that's that. But I thought this was cool, but you know, we're up on the time here. So I think maybe it is time to hear from the Resistance.
Yeah. So guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So as you guys know, every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. And I don't know what the scenario is. I don't know what the answers are. And we see what happens, and we go with it. All right. So
do the Leo DiCaprio face.
What?
The Django Leo face.
Oh. All right. So the scenario is Maul is flooded by phone calls after the news that George Lucas intended on bringing him back in early ideas for a sequel trilogy. He ignores all calls, sending them to his answering machine. He still has one of those. What is Maul's outgoing message? You know what I thought of when I read this was that I've put everybody to voicemail. I'm that person that lets it ring. And just because I'm like, I'll reply later.
Do you have phone call anxiety?
I mean, I have all types of anxiety. I don't know if phone call falls into that. I just always tend to let it go to voicemail to see what people want first.
This person is calling, or you're like,
usually with my parents, because it's usually like, ugh, what do they want? Except Bill Gill. I always pick up for Bill Gill. So basically just my mom. But anyway. All right. So first up is Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley, who said, "You have reached Maul. No longer Darth Maul, just Maul. If this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, please leave your exact coordinates. If you are not Kenobi, lightsaber stabs caller through the phone."
That's a little force projection type stuff. I like that.
Next up is Corey Sanford at _C Sanford, who says, music starts playing and Maul starts singing. Believe it or not, Maul isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
Seinfeld.
Next is Keith Miller at K Miller NC, who said, "This is Don't Call Me Darth Maul. I'm either hiding, again, or I'm out with Boba and Phasma for our weekly AVLST. Awesome villain lacking screen time support group meetings. Leave a message only if you mean it. Beep." All right.
Support groups.
Next up is Skywalker at Dog Skywalker, who said, "This is Maul. I missed your call. Call you back after the fall." Yeah. Next up is Geeky Gator Crocodile at the _Geeky Gator, who said, "You've reached Darth Maul. For Crimson Dawn business questions, press 1.
Oh, gosh.
If you've seen my Lost Kenobi flyers and know his location, press 2 now. If you are Steve, my leg mechanic, press 3 and you better have good news. Lastly, if you're that kid who keeps calling for Kira, stop.
Fair.
I have a pet peeve, not with this particular thing, but with all of these. And it's the please listen closely as our menu options have changed. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. You have not been changing them, and nobody, literally nobody, is so familiar with your buttons that they'd have to be like, oh, I know, it's 4. Oh, wait, never mind. Hold on, I better listen. Their menu options have changed since the last time I pushed the button. It's literally nobody, and I don't know why it's on every single business prompt. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. No. Take it out. Get rid of it. It makes me so mad. It's a lie. They're lying to you right there just to start off the message. Corporate lie.
All right. Next up is Jedi Dave at Jedi Dave 74, who said, leave a message at the tone and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Pretty straightforward. Next is Matt Ham at Matt Ham. He definitely got his handle, John.
Oh, way to get your handle, Matt.
And he
did
said,
get his handle.
hello, gotcha, mercilessly and without compromise. Leave a message after the saber ignition sound.
Nice.
And next up is Sam Whitwer at... Is this Sam Whitwer?
It is.
Oh my God.
Did he actually reply to this?
He did. I'll tell you why in a second.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Sam Whitwer at Sam Whitwer, who's
Way to get your
that?
handle, Sam.
Said, Kenobi. He just typed a bunch of... And then beep.
So Adam Odell commented, instead of leaving one of his, he said, Sam Whitwer, you should record one and send it in. And Sam types that response out.
Wow. That's cool.
This is the craziest thing I've ever read in the transmissions.
Thank you, Sam, and good job,
The
Adam,
guy
trying to
who
lure out-
actually plays Darth Maul.
Sam,
Yeah, we got Darth Maul.
come on the show.
I did write. I said, Sam, come on the show. We promise we will make you scream Kenobi, but I'll probably ask you about Dexter.
Wow. I'm like in shock. This is really cool. Thanks, Sam.
I saw it earlier and I
Good
was
job,
like,
Adam.
there's no way that's real.
No, yeah, he did it. Yeah.
John, you said you can do a
our show notes don't have
Kenobi
a
yell. I
blue
want to
check
hear
mark,
it.
So
I recorded a Kenobi yell. It will not be released until we hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I didn't know that was a thing. It is now. All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much. That was the craziest
Or
wackiest.
200 patrons.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, like Sam Whitwer, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and follow during the week. John puts up a situation. You give your answers or hashtag resistance transmissions and you can be on the show. Back to you, John.
Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching, being a part of the TRB. We hope you like the state of Star Wars. There's plenty we could talk about, obviously. So if there's things that you want to throw at us, maybe we can talk about on the next one. Leave it in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter, like Lacey said, at RBATSWNN. Or email us if you're a little shy. It's okay. resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. I think our DMs are open too. I don't know if I should have said that or not, but our DMs are open on Twitter. But subscribe to the show on YouTube because we have the Mando Fan Show coming at you live tomorrow night at 8:30 East. Katrina Dennis is going to be joining us to talk about Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian. it's a fun time when you join us live. Our, people who have been doing it could tell you the live chat is always very busy and very fun, and we pull things. Lacey grabs things from there and pulls them up on the screen, and it adds to the conversation. Sometimes we miss stuff, and I like the fact that when we miss stuff sometimes, instead of hearing it after the fact after we put the episodes out, you tell us right then and there, and we're like, oh, right, and we have to talk about it then. I think that's a really cool part of the live show.
Yeah. And when you subscribe, you got to click the bell too, because that gives you notifications on when we do go live.
And post extra
Like in
content
case-
outside of episodes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit the bell. The little.
You get my
ding
minute,
bell.
my Mandalorian minute.
Right. So we're gonna do that first thing in the morning. But yeah, the Mando Fan Show tomorrow night. But again, 3 episodes every week. Yeah, TRB Mondays, Thursdays, and the Mando Fan Show. So definitely subscribe, not only just on YouTube, but also your favorite podcast app, because the Mando Fan Show will be found there, and all of our episodes for all of our things. So you know where to go. Put Spotify, Podbean, SoundCloud, wherever. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast. If you want to get some of our swag, you got the Mando Fan Show shirt. You got the other Mando Fan Show shirt with Moff Gideon on it. Make Solo 2 happen. All of our cool swag over there. And of course, Make Solo 2 happen pins. If you want to get your pin and promote beyond social media and spread the word, that's a great way to do it too. Make Solo 2 happen pin. StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, and of course we do written reviews of The Mandalorian also over there. Everyone on the team has been doing one every week and doing a great job, and that's about it. So on behalf of James and Lacey, I'm John, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on the Mando Fan Show, and of course Monday morning right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.